Hello and welcome you to this week's plant update video. And if you are new to my channel, I want to say welcome. And what I do once a week is I give you updates on all my plants that I have here, and I give some tips and tricks that I have found to be helpful for me and hope they'll be helpful for you. So let's get started. These are my Christmas cactuses that I repotted, and they seem to be doing quite well. Some are dying off because it was in a different container that did not have holes in the bottom. These have holes in the bottom. So like this one is getting thin, so I can tell that one's going. And it feels like the soil is nice and dry now, so I can water it. Which I just put a little bit of water on top because this soil is my favorite soil ever. It's Miracle-Gro Moisture Control, which means it will feed your So next we have my aloe plant here. These have been growing out in my front yard, and when my other one died, I just went out and I picked up a new one. I have about 4 or 5 out there right now. So what I've noticed is when these big leaves start leaning down, there's a new leaf growing, and there's a new leaf growing that's barely seeable right now. And I just water this guy as is needed. This is not a special moisture, it's just the sand it was already growing in. And it seems right okay with that. So I thought of that as well. It's like if you do not have an aloe plant in your kitchen and you burn yourself a lot in the kitchen, you should definitely get an aloe plant. They can produce about 12 more within a year. So instead of going out and buying aloe vera gel, you can just go get an aloe plant one, or you can get 2, have one inside, plant one outside, and within a year you'll have 12 babies that you can bring in as you need them, which is a good plus for me because Lord knows I've burnt myself way too much. I burnt myself twice so far. So, and these are my other Christmas cactuses. This one I bought at the grocery store. It was like $4 and it was awesome. And we got some buds going on here. I don't know if they'll fully bud for me yet. Don't know. And the soil feels dry on that guy. And then we got these 2 over here that I transplanted a few months ago, and they seem to be doing quite well. All the soil is dry, so I gotta water all these guys today. Whoop. And then my one guy wants to fall over a lot. Oh my gosh. Stand up. Stay there. Yeah, this guy's, I guess he's really top heavy because he keeps falling. So now we are going to move on to my Christmas cactus leaves that I have in water here. What I found out is if you leave them in water for a few days, they'll either die, which means they weren't going to grow anyway, or you wait until they start growing roots, which these 2 are growing roots, but they're not long enough for me yet. I want them a little longer. So now we're going to move on to my Phalaenopsis orchids. These are the only orchids I have because they're so easy to care for. Their buds last so long. It's been about 2 months since I bought these guys, and they still have buds on them. Their blooms are out. It's awesome. What I found is that their blooms can last for a few months to even a year, which is awesome, which is why I love them so much. So here is my beautiful, big, white phal right here. This guy is huge. So what I decided to do, I already had it in full water culture for 1 month, and now I'm going to put him in semi-water culture for 1 month. This guy's so pretty, I love it. So the difference between full water culture and semi-water culture, full water culture is when your orchid is in water 24/7. The semi-water culture is when your orchid's in water 5 days out of the week and 2 days it's in water. For me, I have them in water during the weekend. It's easy for me to remember. It just makes it easier for me. And what I do every week on here is I check the root system and all of that stuff. So here's this big guy. He's so big. I'm not even kidding how big he is. Oh, so big. But it's also growing some more buds right here, which I'm hoping will come. And I had this guy in fertilizer the past couple of days. And I don't think I'm going to use this fertilizer again because it's making the roots very soft. They're not mushy as of yet, but they're very soft, which worries me. So I am not... Ooh, that one's mushy. I got to cut them, and I'm going to show you how to cut them. I was not prepared for this, but I'll make do. So what you want to do is you want to get your shears or whatever cutting tool that you use to cut your plants. I use this guy. And you can do either of these or both of these. You can either have your shears or cutting tool in rubbing alcohol, or you can use a flame, or you can use both. I'm just going to use a flame right now because I wasn't prepared to do this today. So I'm just putting the flame right up here, going slowly down like that, and then I do the other side like that. That's how I do it. And then I'm going to take my orchid, and what you want to do is you want to find the mushy part and cut right where that's at. It's right there. So I'm just going to cut right here, like that, to get rid of all the mushy roots. That's the only one I think. Hang on, here's what they said. Okay. Let's see. And if you don't know how to tell a healthy root from a dead root, if they feel mushy and they just go like that, they are dead. If they are firm, like most of these are, then they are healthy. That's the only way that I've known to tell the difference between a healthy root and a dead root is if you feel them. You don't normally can tell if just by looking at them. You have to feel them, which is what I do every week. I feel the roots. So put this guy back in here. So this is a container I have him in because it's the only one he fits without me having to stake him in. I don't want to stake them, but this guy works great because this was the top heavy orchid. And you'll see the difference when I go to my purple phal. Alright, so here is my phal that is still in ICU right now, but it's doing quite well. Again, this root is soft because it was in fertilizer, and I'm going to stop using the fertilizer. But we have a root right there. We have one, I think it's a root, I'm not too sure yet, but I have one popping up right there. Trying to give you a really good angle to see it. So maybe it's a root, maybe it's a kiki. If it's a kiki, I'm really happy about that because once the kiki grows roots, I'm going to cut the kiki from the mother plant and put it in water culture or semi-water culture. That's always the thing you have to figure out with your orchids is will they like full water or semi-water? This guy, I already know, loves semi-water culture. Because ever since it's been in semi-water culture, it's been growing roots like crazy. So what I do with my white phal and my purple phal is I'm going to test them in semi-water culture and see if they like that too. So here is my beautiful purple phal. As you can see, it's a lot smaller than my white phal. And I'm going to hold them together so you can tell the difference between the two. Yeah. Bigger blooms, bigger buds, definitely. How big the white one was. Like, I have to have that one. And here's my purple one, who is growing buds, I believe. Everything looks good. So I had to stake this one because in this glass, this guy is top heavy and will not sit in that glass like I want it to. So again, I'm just feeling the roots. Want to make sure they're all nice and firm. Firm roots are healthy roots. And then, for some strange reason, I have a root growing right in there. Oh, you can see it's right back here. I've never seen a root grow from between the leaves. That's when flower spikes usually come in, but looks like, I don't know if it's a little nick or if it's a flower spike growing right here. It's so tiny, I can't even tell what it is right now. But I also check right in here on the crown where the leaves pop up because these will come through too, which is awesome. So this guy is in semi-water culture, like the white fowl, and I think this bottom leaf right here is starting to yellow, which is normal. The bottom leaves do go away. I think every 1 to 2 years, a bottom leaf will fall off, which is totally normal. Nothing to worry about. The flower spikes will go eventually. The blooms will go eventually. Some of the roots will go eventually. That's just the life cycle of orchids at this point. I don't invest in any other orchids because I like my phals. I'm a phal orchid grower, and that's the only ones I like to grow because they're so easy to care for. I like things simple. Obviously, they're so easy to care for. I don't put pebbles or rocks in my containers. I've never seen the point why the rocks need to be in with the orchids. So I don't put them in there. I just put water to a certain level. And if you're doing water culture in general, you always want to remember to always have 1/3 of the root in water at all times. If it's semi-water culture, if it's full water culture, always have 1/3 of the root in water. So I have a potato plant, as it may look like. I think I was meant to grow potatoes. I wasn't trying to grow potatoes. I was trying to grow roses, actually. But there's a really cool by my house where I got my white and purple phal. And once I get some money, I will go back there and get some roses because I really love roses. So yeah, these two I think cost, I think they were about like $16, $17 each, which is really cool because I was going to the grocery store, which they were costing up to $30. And I'm like, that's kind of expensive to buy for an orchid. So I went to my local nursery and I asked them if they have phals and said yeah. And they were really cheap, which is awesome. There's also a video that you should watch if you want to transplant your orchid from whatever media it is into water culture. I did that also. I showed you how I did it. It was pretty simple. You just got to take really good care of when you first transplant them, you might have some roots dying off, normal. Based on how well the person was taking care of it and what they were growing it in will determine how many roots you will have to cut off. So luckily, I did not have that many. That's a good thing. I like that. So also on my white phal, I think this leaf is starting to go. I think it's this one. I'm not too sure. It would be this. This is the bottom leaf. I don't know how the nursery was taking care of the orchids, but I just know they're safer in my house now because I have a humidifier. What I have is a cool mist humidifier. I'm going to try to bring it over. It's a big guy. This is a big guy. It's a cool mist humidifier. I just started using it a few months ago when I had my little phal right there. And they seem to be liking it. They like the humidity because orchids need humidity. So they are liking it. And all I gotta do is just add water every few days. And I have that going 24/7. And my orchids are growing. They're not dying off like my last two did. Yeah, my last two died really badly because I was taking care of the best care I could at the time with the knowledge I had at the time. So now that will be it for this week. Next week is fertilizing week, and I have decided I'm not going to use that fertilizer anymore. I might not ever use fertilizer. I don't know. Because the fertilizer I'm using has made the roots very soft, almost to a mushy point. but not so far yet. So I'm just going to fertilize my Christmas cactuses and my aloe plant from now on. And that's just going to be that. So I'm going to go ahead. Thank you so much for watching. Please like, share, and subscribe for more. And I'll see you guys tomorrow for my cross-stitch world speed pattern.